The road to publishing papers regularly in top journals or to finishing your PhD isn't easy. In fact, it's going to be filled with a lot of failures, a lot of setbacks, a lot of challenges, and there'll be more than one moment where you kind of feel like this just isn't for me. I'm going to quit. I'm just not good enough. And that's why in this video, I want to show you how you can become a successful published researcher who's able to publish numerous papers in top journals without feeling stress, and how to overcome all these setbacks and problems that, reality and life will throw in your way on your route to publishing those papers. And I'll give you 4 elements of what I call the success loop in this video. And mastering those 4 elements of the success loop will not only allow you to become successful in the academia and publish papers in those top journals where you want to publish them, but you will also be able to apply it to other areas of your life, to basically any area of your life where you want to become successful, be it personal or professional, it really doesn't matter. So you're going to learn really the 4 unique steps that you need to be taking throughout your life to become great and successful at anything that you want to do. If you're new here, my name is Marek Kiczkowiak and I run Academic English Now, where we help PhD students and researchers publish papers in top Scopus-Indexed journals. And you might be wondering, first of all, why do we talk about, mindset and things like that when it comes to publishing papers? Well, if you've been a researcher or a PhD student, you know how difficult it is to overcome setbacks. You know how difficult it is to get papers to top journals. And maybe even, your writing is really good, you've got good research ideas, but there are just continuous setbacks and challenges. Your papers might get rejected, you just don't get the right results in the lab and so on, and you feel discouraged. You feel maybe like you even want to quit. So that's why, it's really important to see how we can master what I call the success loop, so that, you kind of minimize the setbacks and try to learn from them in order to continue moving forward. Because one big misconception that I've also had for a very long time is that progress is linear. So kind of a lot of us think that progress looks basically like this, that if we have time on the horizontal axis and progress or success on the vertical axis, I used to think that progress was linear, that basically, with time, I would just constantly be improving and moving forward linearly. But obviously, it doesn't work like that. Progress is much messier, and it just kind of looks more like this, where again, if we have success on the vertical axis and time on the horizontal axis, what's going to happen is that you're going to have these loops. Okay, so you go up, and then there's a loop, and then it loops again, and then it loops again, and then it loops again until you succeed, basically. So it's not linear at all. And in fact, those loops are really, really important. There are 4 elements to how you can master those loops in order to continue moving forward. Because if you don't master them, on the other hand, what's going to happen is you're going to be riding the failure loop. What is the failure loop? If we have success and time on the axes, well, you start moving forward, but then you encounter a loop, okay, and then you move up, down, and then you continue moving down, and there's another loop, and there's another loop, and there's another loop. But instead of moving forward, you're failing until you fail abysmally. So that's why these loops and the 4 elements that they have hold the key to your success, to becoming a published researcher, or just to success in any other area of your life. So how does this work? What are the 4 elements? If we zoom in on a little loop in here, well, what's going to happen? Well, why do we start moving down when we were moving forward? Well, because we encounter a problem. Okay, there is a setback. Okay, and that's the start of the loop. There is a problem, and then we start moving down with the problem, and then we get some feedback. Okay, and then if we implement that feedback, we then start continue moving up, and then we make progress again. So the 4 elements here of this loop are problem, feedback, implementation, and progress or success. So how do we master it? Well, first of all, when you encounter a problem, well, you need to be able to accurately diagnose what that problem actually is. Because, this might seem simple, but if it was, then I suppose doctors wouldn't exist, right? Because, you need professionals to be able to really pinpoint what the exact problem is. And you need to start really identifying, what the causes of that problem are, and try to identify the root cause, so that when you're trying to solve the problem, you're actually working on what's going to solve it. Okay? Because the worst thing that can happen, and it actually happens quite often, is that we are solving a problem that doesn't exist, or we are not addressing the root cause of the problem, if you will. Okay? So that's kind of the first one. You need to identify the problem accurately and its root cause. And then number 2, the second part of it, is feedback. Okay, so reality and believable others might give you feedback on what's going on. So like, let's say your paper was rejected, that's the problem, but you're also getting feedback with it from reality, i.e. my paper was rejected, and then, believable others, in this case reviewers, are also giving you feedback on it, right? They're telling you what is wrong with your paper and how to improve it, hopefully. Okay? Not every PhD student or researcher has the luxury of getting really good feedback. And that's where we at Academic English Now come in, and we can give you feedback on a regular weekly basis on your papers within 2 or 3 working days. So you don't have to wait for months or weeks to do it, to get that feedback. And if you want to be working with us to get regular feedback, publish papers in top journals, then book a free one-to-one consultation. The link is right below this video. So you're getting this feedback from reality and believable others. And, one main reason why people fail is that they ignore the feedback, okay? Or they get so defensive about it that they just kind of choose to say that this feedback isn't accurate. Okay, but that's a foolproof way to fail. When you're getting feedback from your supervisor or from reviewers, you need to objectively take it in, right? You cannot just get, feedback can be very painful, but you cannot just get very defensive about it and not implement it, because then you're not going to improve. You're just going to continue failing and failing and failing, riding down that failure loop. Okay, so then once you've gotten feedback and you know what you need to do, well, then the third step is to implement it. And that's where, a lot of us fail as well, because it's difficult sometimes to implement things on our own. You might not know how to actually do it because maybe the feedback was a little bit vague, or you just don't have the motivation, the self-discipline to do it and to implement it. But if you want to improve and you want to actually succeed, you need to be implementing feedback on a daily, weekly basis. Because again, if you don't act on feedback, then you're basically continuing to do the same thing and make the same mistakes, but you expect different results, which is the definition of insanity. So once you've gotten feedback, you've identified what you need to do, well, then you need to do it. No matter how painful it is, how demotivated you feel, you just need to do it and implement. So that's step 3. And then step 4 is basically, you start making progress again, and you start succeeding. Okay, so the success loop, again, if we visualize it again, you've got on the vertical axis, you've got success, and on the horizontal axis, you've got time. Okay, so progress is not linear. It's not a straight line. You move up and then you encounter a problem. Okay, and then you get feedback on that problem. And then if you start implementing, you're going to start making progress. And then with time, you will encounter another problem. And again, reality and believable others will give you feedback. And then you need to act on that feedback in order to continue improving and iterating and going towards success. And if you master this, as I said, it's not going to only help you to publish researchers in top journals, it's also going to help you to succeed in any other area of your life in which you want to become successful. And those 4 steps are crucial, because let's look again at the failure loop, at the opposite of the success loop. So the failure loop it starts the same. You start making progress, but you encounter a problem, right? And then you get feedback on the problem, but you decide not to implement it, or maybe you don't know how to implement it. And as a result, rather than move forward, you continue moving on a downward spiral, and there's another problem which sets you down even further towards failure. Okay, that's kind of the opposite. So if you want to ride the success loop even faster and get feedback from me and my team on your paper on a weekly basis within 2 or 3 working days, and you want our help to implement that feedback faster, so that succeeding and publishing papers doesn't take months, but it takes weeks, then book a free one-to-one consultation. The link is right below this video. We're going to get on a 60-minute one-to-one call with you, identify what your challenges are and what the root cause of those problems are, outline the goals, and then see if and how we might be able to help you.